Good afternoon, everyone. It's Sal, Stretford Post. How you all doing? And welcome to another episode of Chatterbox. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing fine. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon, wherever you are in the world, guys. Before I start, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Please don't forget to smash a like on the video. Please don't forget to put your notifications on as well. Very, very important. Guys, if I'm a little bit lagging a little bit, please forgive me. Guys, hopefully it's not too bad today. Guys, because it was playing up a little bit today. But yeah, hopefully it's not too bad, guys. But thank you so much for joining me today. Really appreciate it. Now, guys, let's get straight into a bit of news about Manchester United in regards to the sacking possibility of Ruben Amorim. Of course, it's very disappointing that we are in this situation again. It seems like yesterday when we had the Eric Ten Hag situation, doesn't it? It's just like we can't catch a break, can we? In regards to sacking. I mean, I spent my whole life watching Sir Alex Ferguson, and I thought, I didn't know what sacking meant. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, I was a stranger to it. It was a foreign thing to me. But lo and behold, we are in this situation. This is who we are now, guys. This is who we are. Hopefully, I'm nice and clear for you guys. Big up everyone in the stream. So what I would say is that Manchester United to sack Ruben Amorim, it will cost Ineos £12 million, guys. £12 million to sack him. Now, this decreases significantly on November the 1st to £4 million, guys. So it's a significant drop if we sack him in November. Look, I really, really hope that he can pick things up. I really hope that he can get moving and can win a few games in a row. And we can put the sacking thing to bed for a while. But we have to look at things realistically. I'm a realist at the end of the day. We have to look at things realistically. And if he does go, when are Ineos going to pull the trigger? I firmly believe it will be November the 1st, because that will be a huge decrease, in regards to 90% decrease in regards to how much the amount actually is, from 12 million to 4 million, so it is a huge drop. And you know how Ineos are, as soon as money is concerned, they're going to be, very, very interested in that. And they're going to be very forthwith in regards to that and sacking him when it is cheaper. Now, look, I've always said, many, many times that, this compensation fee that managers have when they get sacked shouldn't be in place. It should be in the contracts, that they shouldn't get this. It shouldn't be in the contract, should I say, that in regards to these compensation fees. I think it's ridiculous. I think that when a manager gets sacked, giving him money also contributes towards the down tooling, also contributes to the lack of performance as well. And that's not just Ruben Amorim. We're talking about a whole number of managers around the world and stuff. So November the 1st will go from 12 million to 4 million. So don't be surprised if Manchester United pull the trigger there or thereabouts, because that is what they're all about, isn't it? It's a bit like the fiscal year during the transfer window. It's a bit like that, a bit like that, of course, was that is what we are. We run like a business. And to be honest with you, I feel really disappointed, disillusioned, disgruntled, angry about what has happened to Ruben Amorim, because we started this season really optimistic. Of course, we did say that if Ruben Amorim wasn't backed, he should walk. And I felt he should have walked then. Obviously, he's going to miss out on the money, but I felt he should have walked then, and he would have got a lot of respect for that, because it was a 4 or 5 out of 10 window. Let's be honest, guys. It was not a good window, and we have to be real. Even the Ineos fans would admit that it was not a good window. They fixed the attack, and that's about it. That's all they fixed at the end of the day, guys. So, look, I hope he fixes it. I hope he surprises everyone. I hope he beats Sunderland. I hope we go on to beat Liverpool. And I hope we beat Brighton as well. Wouldn't that be amazing? Very unlikely. I'm always hopeful. You know me, always glass half full. But I do believe it will be very unlikely for him to do that, especially in particular at Anfield. I can't see Liverpool dropping any points to Manchester United at Anfield, considering that Liverpool are in a title race at the moment, guys. Absolutely. So, guys, let me just say hello to everyone. Hope you're doing well. I hope everyone is blessed, guys. Hope everyone is blessed. Good to see RJ in the house. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Really good to see you, mate. Hope you're doing well. There is a reason why Barca fired Xavi. I guess this is not good. Look, at the end of the day, Xavi was a young manager for Barcelona, and obviously Barcelona had financial problems when he was there. My main concern is that when we played Barcelona under Eric Ten Hag in the Europa League, Eric Ten Hag absolutely scored him. He scored him in that game, both legs. Man United should have won the second leg. Man United won the second. Man United should have won the first leg. Man United won the second leg. And Man United had one of their few good performances over the years was that game, to be honest with you. And yeah, it was a good game, and Xavi was scored in that game. You have to say by Eric Ten Hag, but I'm not going to paint everyone with the same brush. As I said, no matter who comes into this football club, I don't want Ruben Amorim to go, but if he does go, whoever comes into his football club, I'm going to be exactly the same with Ruben Amorim. I'm going to be supporting the manager. That's what I'm going to be doing. My target will be the Ineos, the ownership. That is where my targets are. That is where my energy is. My energy isn't on the manager because I knew this will happen at the start of the season, that he wasn't backed, properly. If you're going to do a rebuild, do a proper rebuild. If you're going to bring in your own guy, bring in the players for that guy that suit his system, his distinctive style of play, of course. That's what I would do, RJ, I would just wish they probably backed Amorim. I do as well, absolutely. Some of these players are bang average, I agree, absolutely. William, if they're going to do it, just get on with it. Jesus, this club is dates on sacking. It's absolutely shambolic the way the club runs. Gets worse by the day. Full takeover is needed now, more than ever, my friend, more than ever, William. And every time the seasons go by, we want more and more. We want a full sale because we know it's the best option. We always knew that a full sale was the best option. It was never going to be a partial ownership of the football club. I would love in an ideal world, in a miracle world, that Man United are owned 51%, just like in Germany, where the football clubs are owned 51%. The fans actually own the football club. That would be amazing if that was the case. Unfortunately, these days, football clubs are run by corporate billionaires, prawn sandwich eating billionaires, who don't really have a care in the world about on the pitch, what goes on the pitch. They only look at the books. That's all they look at, and the money. And that's all they look at. Ineos will not sack Ruben Amorim now. They won't. Even if we lose to Liverpool, they won't sack him. They're waiting for November the 1st because obviously they're going to get how much is it? A 9 million deduction, 8 million, excuse me. My maths is terrible. 8 million deduction in regards to the compensation fee. So that is what they're looking for at the moment. And that just goes to show you where their head is at. If they didn't believe in Ruben Amorim and they firmly said this is not going to work, they would have just done it after the Brentford game, But this is why I said, this is exactly what I said this morning. Man United can never be a sacking club. Man United will never be a sacking club because we can't afford to sack managers and bring managers in. It's as simple as that, and we this is what Man United are all about. Money, cash, money. William, Glazers Cliff out, becoming a joke. I mean, at the end of the day, look, we all envisioned that this will happen. It's not because I wanted to be right. I wanted them to be wrong. It's because we envisioned this will happen if we keep the Glazers at the football club, because ultimately the Glazers still own the football club and they still have to sign off those checks at the end of the day, don't they? Ineos were the fool guys. Ineos are the puppet. Ineos are the facilitators of the Glazers. They're the ones who facilitated the Glazers. They're the ones who are feeding the Glazers, and they're the ones who have helped with the regeneration project that is going to feed the Glazers more. The last thing we want in England is a bunch of greedy bigots to be owning a land in Manchester. That's what we don't want. And that is what they're looking to do, which is going to make them billions. It's going to make them billions. When you think about the hotels, the franchises, concerts, the whole shebang, it's going to make billions. Now, obviously, there was the new design of the stadium. It's already a farce, isn't it, already, when they're redesigning the stadium already, and, took away the tent, the clown tent, the circus tent, so to speak. They got a new GPT stadium now that they've made from that. It's a joke, really, isn't it, guys? It really is a joke when we're thinking about it. When you think about what's going on at Man United at the moment, and we're talking about stadiums, I don't think that should be the forefront of the conversation at the moment. It should be what happens on the football pitch and winning football matches at the end of the day. Big up, William. One day we were able to discuss how good we played instead of this crap the owners have put us up. Big up, Sal. Big up, William. One day, mate. One day, there's nothing I want more than to come on this stream every single day and be positive about this football club, bantering other football clubs. Goodness me. What I wish that we were around and we had this platform back when Man United was successful. It'd be absolutely fantastic, wouldn't it? Because that's what I feed off. Some people, they feed off negativity. Some channels they feed off negativity. I don't. I feed off the positive, and unfortunately, we have not had much positives over the last couple of years. Over the last year, so definitely since we've been together on this community in this stream, we haven't really had anything of a positive nature to think about. We haven't had any good things happen to this football club apart from the FA Cup, and that was just before I started live content, And hopefully in the future, we will get them times because we deserve it. At the end of the day, the fan base deserve it. Certain members of the fan base. We all know who doesn't deserve it. We all know those people who are, backing Gareth Southgate for the job. Certain man whose name starts with F and ends with X. He's been backing Gareth Southgate for the job. That just shows how much he knows at the end of the day. And I'm tired of low informed people or content creators who have no idea what Man United is, who have no clue who or what Manchester United is, our historical value, who we are. They just go to games because they were given a season ticket because of other people, and that was it. That's about it. That is their leg to stand on, and they'll never call out the Glazers. They'll never call out Ineos. They'll just, because that's what gives them the facility, doesn't it? It gives them the VIP passes for the press conferences and things like that. Me, I do it another way. RJ, still hope we beat Sunderland. Absolutely hope so. I mean, at the end of the day, what do we do, guys? If Ruben Amorim goes out there and smashes Sunderland 4-0, they're not going to sack him. If they have ideas to sack Ruben Amorim, sack him then. Because do you honestly think after the Sunderland game, we're playing Liverpool, Brighton, I think we've got West Ham and Tottenham as well coming up in very, very soon, guys, thick and fast. Do you honestly think that things are going to get significantly better over the next few weeks? Be honest with ourselves, guys, is it? So if Ineos are going to do it, do it. I don't agree with it. I don't, but it is what it is. It's a results game. Do it. Show us what you're made of. But who are we going to bring in, guys? Obviously, there's talk about Xavi, Glasner, these managers. Of course, Glasner's another hipster manager. That's just a new kid on the block just in the last year. I don't think he's going to survive at Man United. And I also don't think Xavi. I think Xavi more would be better in regards to his formation and his identity. He likes to play a 4-2-3-1. He does transition though into a free at the back as well, into a 3-4-2-1 as well. Let's not forget that he does do that as well. He's a transitional manager, but he's very versatile. However, he did win the league with Barcelona, but obviously there's a lot of Barcelona fans who did not like his style of play and did not like Xavi as a manager, of course. And there's also that sentimental value as well, because Xavi is a legend at Barcelona, isn't he? So you have to remember that as well. And it's really weird, isn't it? Because I remember when Xavi was a kid playing for Barcelona under, Louis van Gaal back in the late 90s. People forget when we won the treble, Xavi was a kid playing for Barcelona, and time just flies, doesn't it? Who would have thought that he may become the Man United manager one day? However, I did say that I'm a little bit concerned about the performance against Erik ten Hag when we played them, but maybe he's improved as a manager. I don't know. I think he's gone to Saudi Arabia. Didn't he go to Saudi Arabia or something like that? Yeah, look, that I don't really count that, to be honest with you. But yeah, look, of course, anyone's going to want the job at Manchester United. Anyone will want the job. Anyone in the right mind would want the job at Man United. But as soon as they get the job, they're going to realize what a big job this is and how much work needs to be done. Ruben Amorim came into this football club like a house on fire, like blazing with positivity, and unfortunately, very quickly, he realized that this is a toxic mess. We are a toxic football club with loads of problems from knee to toe, from head to hip. We have lots of problems at this football club that, we only know a bit of it. We only know a small inkling of the problems at this football club. And to be honest with you, when the new manager walks in, he's going to straight away say, I did not sign up for this. I did not sign up, because I'm pretty sure that Ruben Amorim did not want to sign up for this. This is exactly why Ruben Amorim did not want to come in January. He wanted to come in the new season, But it would have been the same, to be honest with you, because he would have realized, and the job that needs to be done is enormous, and there's so much ins and outs and in negatives in regards to this football club. Even the likes of Marcus Rashford and players like that who are apparently playing well for Barcelona and things like that and fitting in a league that gives them all the space in the world, and everyone's just comparing this. Everything is being painted with the same brush. This narrative about Ruben Amorim will never end now. People have made up their minds. The people that want Ruben Amorim sat, they're not going to change their minds. They're not going to change all of a sudden. They're going to, because they've already made up their minds. It is an egotistical thing. thing within the fan base. There is a big ego within the fan base because no one wants to be wrong. No one wants to be deemed that guy, who change their mind, and that's the way. But changing your mind is intelligence at the end of the day, in my opinion. I'm bewildered by the lack of accountability, by the lack of context in regards to people's opinions. I'm seeing a very one-dimensional opinion floating around the fan base, which I think is very disappointing, especially the fact that he came into this football club in an absolute mess. But ultimately, as I said, and I repeat myself, it is a results business, and results really do matter. You cannot ignore the stats. You cannot ignore the facts of what is going on, despite the context. People don't look at context in football. When you're looking at he's got less points than Potter, etc., obviously, people are going to look at that and think, you know what, that's terrible. But let me tell you something why. Potter will manage a football team like West Ham to sustain. It would sustain, to keep to a level at West Ham. What Ruben Amorim is trying to do, he's trying to change a bunch of serial failures into long-term winners. That's going to cost you games because at the end of the day, you're trying to change a whole culture at the football club. Something that Potter wasn't trying to do at West Ham. What Potter was trying to be West Ham. That is all he's trying to be, a West Ham manager. What Ruben Amorim is trying to do is bring Manchester United back from the mud all the way back to the top, because that is where we used to. That is what Man United need to be. That in turn creates a lot more pressure. It's a lot more difficult as well to achieve at Manchester United, considering how big this football club is and how much pressure there is on you to get results, of course. Absolutely. Big up Ephraim, how you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Good to see you. Hope you're blessed. Sal Warner does not help with his starting lineup. That is the problem. The problem is the players. It doesn't really matter about the starting lineup. Who cares about the starting lineup, Ephraim? I don't care about the starting lineup now. All I know is that they should have beaten Brentford at the weekend. That is it. Regardless of what we had, regardless of what we don't have, these players should be able to beat Brentford and not basically get annihilated nearly 5-1. When you lose 3-2, 2-1, right? You can look at things and say, well, they're unlucky. Man United played well and stuff. We were just unlucky on the day. But Man United should have lost 5-1, regardless of the penalty and the red card, which it should have been a penalty and a red card. And who knows what would have happened after that. Fine margins of football, isn't it? They should have lost by 5-1 at the weekend. And that is not all down to Ruben Amorim. That is down to the players. Those players there, I would love to know they can buy caps for their countries. I love to know their experience. They've won far more trophies than what Brentford have. Dallow's won European trophies with Portugal. Maguire's won FA Cups. Luke Shaw's won FA Cups and League Cups and Europa Leagues. And these players have won things. What have Brentford won? Now, each one of these players should be able to put in a shift against Brentford. Big up my friend Daryl, how you doing? 100%. He don't help himself with the team selection. He has to drop players to prove that they're not good enough for his team. He needed better backing to make this happen. I don't see him here by Christmas. It looks that way, doesn't it, Daryl? It looks that way, unfortunately, and it's another one bites the dust. Another manager that has fallen on the weird side, another manager that has fallen and been manipulated by certain players, My biggest concern is that where do we go from here? Because at the end of the day, we bring in another manager. It's going to be the same bunch of players. And every single manager, potential shooter coming into Manchester United have said, oh, I could work with these players. Look, I don't want to get into back into the situation where we're getting into next summer and we're getting Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho, Onana back at this football club. Because believe you me, that will happen, guys. And that even if we have a new manager, even a new manager is going to be like, what the hell is this? Anthony hasn't gone yet. The only one that has been sold is Garnacho. He's the only player that's been sold so far. It's ridiculous when you're thinking about it, And this is why we're talking about not being backed. And this is why I always bring in context to everything I say in regards to Ineos, in regards to the Glazers. I'm not saying Ruben Amorim out. I'm not saying get him out of my club. I'm not saying sack him now. I'm not doing none of that business because at the end of the day, that's for the low intelligent. I want to bring things in about context. I will call Ruben Amorim for what he does. I honestly feel there is only a couple of changes in that football team at the weekend and Man United win that game. And that is how fine margins are in football, isn't it? Fine margins are that, fast. Like you just change a couple of players, it would have changed the whole dynamic in the football team. Look, for me, if he plays Senny Lemans, he saves the first goal. If he doesn't play Bruno in midfield, we dominate that midfield, in my opinion. If he plays Euro and Aiden Heaven, we'd probably be more quicker at the back. We wouldn't have got caught out, especially if De Ligt is in the middle of the defence. We definitely wouldn't have got caught out there for the first goal. Big up, Bobby. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're blessed. Aaron, what's going on, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Hi, Papa. I can't wait to see Amorim out of my club. I don't know about can't wait, my friend. I think it's very disappointing and sad, that we sacking another manager. This is not what Man United is about. And if you support Man United, Aaron, you would know that. Sacking managers is not what we're about. And it's disappointing again because we got the likes of Shaw, Maguire, Bruno, Dalot still at this football club who have sacked endless managers, and people keep getting manipulated by them. And if you watch my short video earlier today, which went viral on TikTok today, by the way, if you watch my earlier video today, it talks about these players are manipulators, right? They manipulate. But so basically what they do, and Benny McCarthy said it, the ex-Man United striker coach, legend, of course, for Atletico Madrid. He said it himself that these players perform extremely well in training, but when it comes to the actual game, he's bewildered and he's confused because those same players don't perform to the level that they play. And that was under Ten Hag. So what is going on here with this culture at this football club, the mentality at this football club? What is going on here? We're going to get a new manager, Aaron, and I will bet you any money that we will be here, very, very soon with another sacking, mate. Because the problems at this football club are far, far, far more deep than you can envision. You can envision. Why do you think it is that every single manager that we get, where they're doing the same mistakes? Exactly the same mistakes. The same players end up. It's like we sort of throw everything on the wall, right? We throw everything on the wall, then all the things, hoping something sticks first. Then we just revert back to what happens. The back to the old team. Families of players were apparently at the training. I don't know why. Guys, I don't know why. Johnny, I think the whole Sir Jim backing Amorim stuff is Ineos waiting until November when it's cheaper to do it. When you get a vote of confidence, Johnny, from the board, it's never good. Even if they're complimenting you, it's never good. It's never good when you're getting the compliments from your board and backing from the board, because that is the dreaded vote of confidence, isn't it? I've seen that many, many times. They are waiting for the 1st of November because that's what they're all about. They are absolute scumbags, mate. Ineos are scumbags, and they facilitated the Glazers. They also basically slept with the Glazers, and we were going to have a full sale with Qatar, and unfortunately, they got in the way of that. They lied. They manipulated the fan base. The whole story about Jim Ratcliffe being a Manchester United fan, born and bred, he's got no evidence of that. He won't post a picture of him in the Man United jersey from many, many years ago because was not a Man United fan. He has a Chelsea season ticket. And he made up lies about Sheikh Jassim Hamid, saying that he wasn't a real person, which he quite obviously was, because he was at the World Cup Championship final, wasn't he? Absolutely, absolutely. Guys, hopefully I'm not lagging too much. Guys, hopefully my stream is evening, guys. I will bring Ragnick back for DOF open heart surgery. They're never going to do it, though. The owners are not going to do it. Zidane is coming, guys. He's the only man with the back bollocks to take the pressure. He would be a great here for our game and our club. With Bruno playing hero balls and Luke Shaw injured half the season, Mason Mount injured half the season. What else do you want? Dalot being the worst right back we've ever had. They're not going to be replaced, mate. Ineos are not going to back a manager. This was their guy. Ruben Amorim was their guy. This is their man. And they didn't back him. So what makes anyone think that they're going to back Zidane? What makes anyone think they're going to do that? If, Zidane had a pool of players at Real Madrid. And by the way, Zidane occasionally played free at the back, just so you know. Just so you guys, they had a pool of players there that were experienced serial winners. Gareth Bale, right? Toni Kroos, Modric, Benzema, Sergio Ramos. Should I go on, guys? Really? Should I go on? what players they had in that team. They had serial winners in that team. Right? So you think that Zinedine Zidane, who would demand respect, in my opinion, top 3 players of all time, will demand respect. Do you think he's going to go into Manchester United, never worked in English football, never played in English football, and change the most dysfunctional football club in the world and one of the biggest football clubs in the world? Zinedine Zidane come in there and do that. Zinedine Zidane knows himself, which is why he hasn't managed anyone else. He knows himself that, you know what, I had a good run at Real Madrid. I had a fantastic team. And that was evident when Ancelotti carried on the success. You know, and that's what we're talking about here. I would love Zidane. It's a hipster thing. It's a nostalgic thing for me because I rated him as a player very, very highly. I think he was the only player that could have improved Manchester United. But don't be delusional. Zidane is not the guy who's going to be talking and getting rid of players. He's a quiet guy. I've met him twice, by the way. He's a quiet guy. He's not one of those guys who mouth off. He's the only person, the kind of manager that Manchester United need is a manager that is absolutely intent on doing it his way. And how many managers are out there at the moment that do it their way? You know? William just shows how sport we were. I mean, listen, you know, I mean, some of the new fans that have only been around for the last 15, 20 years, less than that, some of them were born and they started supporting Man United because of success. In the early century or early of this century, you know, they only supported Man United because of success. I didn't. However, I started supporting Man United when we weren't successful, when we were years and years without a title, you know. And I was there when Alex Ferguson won 0, right? So I witnessed every single Alex Ferguson trophy. Unfortunately, we have an influx of fans that from around the world, by the way, who only supported Man United because of success. And I don't know how anyone from any village, any city in the world who support Man United because they love the Busby Babes. Because they didn't. They supported Man United because of success. I supported Man United because of the Busby Babes, right? When I was younger, my best friend was a Man United fan. He's from Salford. He gave me a videotape, and I watched everything about Man United, and I studied everything about Man United. It's something that the new fans don't do these days. They don't care about that. All they care about is clicks and likes and being right, and you know, being successful only, right? They don't understand where Manchester United came from. Many people don't understand where Manchester United came from. The most beautiful thing about Manchester United has been our adversity, has been our disappointments. That has been part of Manchester United's heritage. That's history. That is our heritage. You know, getting relegated is our, you know, this is what we were. You know, we were, not everything about Man United was rosy. We are a team with a broken wing. We've always had a broken wing. We've always been that team that has had adversity, but we shot to the stars. We did shoot to the stars, but Man United have always had adversity around the corner. Man United never had anything on a plate like your Chelseas or your Man Cities did. We never had everything on a plate for ourselves. We built everything ourselves. That's what we did. That's why sometimes it went wrong. Sometimes, you know, we get thumped sometimes, even under Alex Ferguson. Lose 6-3 to Southampton, lose 5-0 to Newcastle, lose 4-1 to Tottenham, lose 3-0 to Chelsea, lose 5-0 to Chelsea. We've been there, guys. We've seen these games before. That is because this is what Manchester United are. Manchester United have never been a team that, you know, has been, you know, absolutely, you know, bed of roses. It's been a bed of roses. It hasn't throughout our history. We are being tested as a fan base. We are being tested as a fan base, and a lot of fans have shown themselves, have exposed themselves for the disloyal people that they are. You know, and to be honest with you, look, I know that Ruben Amorim is making mistakes. I know that he can't go on like this. I know that we need to win football matches because ultimately that's what football's about. I know that, but I also know what he's been trying to do. Right, what he's been trying to do, he's been trying to change a culture at this football club that has been stale for many, many years now. From a counter-attacking football club to revert that team into a front foot team who dominate, you know, it's going to be difficult. And he's tried to do it, fair play, but it's not worked and he's made wrong decisions. And we move on to the next manager. Of course, we're going to move on to the next manager, and you'll see me here supporting the next manager. But it's not going to be no quick fix. And I'll say it again. Just like before with Ruben Amorim, as I said before, it's not going to be a quick fix, guys. It's going to be a difficult fix. It really is. Absolutely. Big up, William. November, no care of improvement in the team. More worried about saving money. Exactly. It's amazing how everyone forgets about what Ineos didn't do in the summer, isn't it? How they brought a manager in with a distinctive style of play and didn't back him to the full amount. Didn't get him any right wing back. Didn't get him a left wing back because Dorgu ain't his player, by the way. Didn't get him a right and left wing back of his choosing. And as we know, Ruben Amorim's system relies heavily on right and left wing backs. Didn't get him a midfield, not even one. Got him a goalkeeper, which I rate very highly, by the way. But he's a young goalkeeper, so it's very, very difficult for Ruben Amorim to integrate this goalkeeper into the team. It's just, these things get forgotten, and context is very important in anything in life. And I always look at things with context. No matter who it is, I look at everything for every angle, and I think about reasons why things happen. I personally feel by the reaction of Ruben Amorim during the preseason, when Ruben Amorim said that this team lacks intensity, this team don't run. He said that in the preseason, guys. Just think about what he said there. This team lacks intensity, this team don't run. What does that tell you, guys? We could have picked up from the clues right there of what we're going to experience this season, because those players are lazy. They're lazy. They don't run. They don't press. I'll tell you one thing, right? When I used to sit in the Stretford end, and I was at the front row of the Stretford end, I told many people this story many, many times, right? Players used to come off that pitch absolutely shattered, sweat dripping from their face. In front of me, Patrice Evra vomited on the pitch. Vomited. That's how much he was running in the game. He vomited, right? This is what I'm talking about. Nowadays, these players leave the pitch and with not one sweat dripping off their foreheads. Nothing. And this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. Effort. This is what I'm talking about. Desire, will to win, playing for the badge, the great Manchester United badge, and doing the people who came before you justice, which they don't do. Good afternoon, Chatterbox. How you doing, my friend? How you doing? Well, good to see you. Hope you're all blessed, my friend. Hope you're all doing good, mate. Saga is sad indeed. I really thought that finally we have our man now. We're never going to have our man, Chatterbox, unless we remove the poison in this football club, my friend. And I've said this over and over again. I sound like a broken record. We didn't know each other in 2014. But when, in 2013, 2014, I told people back then that nothing's going to change. Whilst we got the Glazers, because who was holding us up? It was Sir Alex Ferguson who was holding us up at the end of the day. I look at Louis van Gaal and I look at what Louis van Gaal had to put up with. Louis van Gaal came into this football club, right? Yeah, he signed the likes of Falcao, who was injury prone, and he signed obviously other players, Schneiderlin and other players, Di Maria and players like that. But let's not forget that Louis van Gaal was the only one in the last few managers who have actually believed in youth and played youth. I mean, quite a hefty amount of youth players, i.e. Bothwick Jackson, Paddy McNair, Tyler Blackman. This is what, Tyler Blackett, this is what we're talking about here. And even back then, he was not being backed to the extent with the full team. And, I don't think that anyone is going to come into this football club. And boy, oh boy, I hope they prove me wrong. I really do, because I want a successful football club. I really do. I want Man United to be successful again. I really do hope so. But I don't see or envision anyone coming into this football club and making a significant difference, guys. This is coming from experience. We're all so excited about the new managers who came into this football club. Every single one of them we were excited about. Every single one of those managers were the new kid on the block. They were the ones who are going to take us forward. Unfortunately, now we're talking about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer coming back or Michael Carrick. Might as well go back, isn't it? Because we are going backwards every single year, don't we? So might as well go further back, isn't it? Back into time. Guys, big up Chatterbox. Box, good afternoon. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. To play the system with wing-backs, you need specialist player quality, ones with great creativity and delivery. We're forcing full-backs to play uncomfortable roles. Exactly. And whose fault is that, Box? You know, whose fault is that? It's not only about the crossing. It's not only about the specialist position. Obviously, people, you know, I know that Ineos don't know much about football, but the wing back position is a specialist position. There's someone like a Frimpong or a Vanderson, that kind of thing. Luke Shaw and Dallo are fullbacks. You know, it's not only about the crossing ability, it's also about fitness. This wing back position is relentless. You're running up and down that pitch all game, up and down, up and down, up and down. It takes an athlete, which we don't have, by the way, in the wing back positions, right? Dorgu's doing his best. Dorgu's very young. He's 20 years old. We've got to be fair here. He's been thrown in the deep end, just like Rasmus Højlund was thrown in the deep end. And other players as well have been thrown in the deep end. Lenny Yoro's been thrown in the deep end. Aidan Heaven was thrown in the deep end. So we should have purchased a couple of wing backs that had experience, that had know-how. You know, that's what we should have done. That is exactly what we should have done. You know, there are many out there that we could have got, you know, but we didn't. We decided not to do it. And we also decided not to improve the midfield, which is absolute criminal. It's scandalous, you know, when you think about it. Big up, fan. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you, of course. Also play with a midfield, absolutely. Yorkshire Cowboy, yes, Sal, sad times. I'm not Ruben Amorim, but the mediocrity and depressing some form of as last year means only one outcome. Yorkshire, to be honest with you, mate, I know how you feel about the manager. You made it pretty clear in every single comment on my videos, mate. To be honest with you, you're going to get the same treatment next year, mate. And I won't see you come in here and say, admit you're wrong, because you will have to. Because at the end of the day, the new manager will come in with the same problems at this football club. Not many people understand cultural problems or mentality problems at the football club. Not many people, they just see what happens on the pitch. They don't see what's around them. Ruben Amorim's made a lot of mistakes. There's no doubt about that. But partly of the mistakes, which you've never brought up, is Ineos and the Glazers, mate. They're the ones who didn't back him. They're the ones who gave him a 4 out of 5, 4 out of 10 window. They're the ones, mate. And you need to look at that, mate, and look at yourself in the mirror as a Man United fan, mate. And I'm telling you now, as a fan for many, many decades, right, you need to look at yourself, you know, and think about what's going on at this football club. You know, what's going on upstairs, what's going on with Ineos. Because at the end of the day, what's the engine of the football team? What's the engine? What keeps it going? It's the midfield. We didn't buy midfield. We're playing Bruno in midfield, right? He don't rate Manu, quite obviously. You know, so why, if we brought in a couple of midfielders, maybe a Wharton, maybe a Baleba, maybe, just maybe, who knows? We might have been further up that league, you know, and that is what we're talking about here. And that's why I said, and that's why I always bang the drum about. I always bang this drum. Let's not forget about context here, because people are very short-sighted on what they want to see because they have a narrative in their head, you know, about it. You know, you bring in your Xavi, who got schooled by Ten Hag. You know, you bring in your Glasner, who's managing Crystal Palace, which is no stress at all. You know, you can do what you like at the end of the day. Free at the back, Glasner as well. At the end of the day, whatever will be, will be. But I guarantee you this, Yorkshire Cowboy. I guarantee you this. We will be back here, mate. Yeah, we will be back here. And none of the people have been coming on this stream or commenting in the secretly sliding into my comments under videos and talking about, you know, oh, I was wrong about that, by the way. None of them will, you know, and that is the problem with the fan base, you know, lack of understanding and context, right? We have been mediocre for a very long time. We've been a sinking ship for a very long time. And this is not down to Ruben Amorim. Ruben Amorim is undefeated in the Champions League. Undefeated. He beat Real Madrid, he beat Barcelona, he beat PSG, he beat Man City. But it's Man United, you know. It's Man United is the problem, isn't it? You know, and that is what we're talking about. I said he should have walked in the summer because he didn't get backed. 4 out of 10, window. And here we are. Box. Also, play with a midfield 2. You need certain players to play that. None of our CMs fit that profile to play the 2. They flourish, or they can play a number 3. And they don't even do that, Box, because when we played a 3, we were Bagel FC, mate, Box. Let's scroll back. Let's not rewrite history here. Remember when we were playing with a 3 in the midfield? We were known as Bagel FC. Our midfield was wide open. It's nothing to do with the system. Nothing. It's to do with the players in the system, mate. And this is down to Ineos. This is down to the Glazers that they didn't bring these players. And they're just as much to blame as Ruben Amorim is. My biggest criticism about Ruben Amorim is that he played Bruno as a midfielder. And that is my biggest criticism. And he's not playing Senny Lamens, and he's not playing Danny Yoro and Aidan Heaven and these players. He's playing the players that are serially underachieved. Like I said this morning, Luke Shaw, Harry Maguire, Dallo, Bruno Fernandes, if they were a serial killer, they would be Ted Bundy of football, because they've sacked so many managers. They are serial sackers. They are the Ted Bundy of football, is these players. You know, and that is what I'm talking about, you know. Irfan, most unpopular opinion, I would bring Ragnick back, but he was the only manager who asked for an open heart surgery. Look at the players he wanted and mentioned. I mean, they'll just throw him under the bus, Irfan, like they did the first time, didn't they? They threw him under the bus. This is exactly what they did. I rate Ragnick, and Ragnick became a legend for doing that, what he said, the open heart surgery. But let's not forget what open heart surgery meant. He didn't just mean about the team. That was a big part of it, but he didn't just mean about the team. He meant about the board. He meant about the Glazers. This was the open heart surgery that he was talking about, the ownership. He was talking about that. Everything about this football club, the infrastructure, everything about this football club he was talking about, not just what was on the pitch. Now, we're not going to get rid of the Glazers anytime soon. We're not going to get rid of Ineos anytime soon. Do you know what I mean? And to be honest with you, and that is the biggest concern for me. Probably Box. Probably will take another 2 or 3 windows for Amorim's bespoke system to have the players that truly fit the system. He won't get that time, Box. Unfortunately, he won't get the time that he deserves. Unfortunately, because he's only been there 8 months. At the end of the day, guys, look, I'm like, what can I do now? What can I say? What can I do? You know, everyone's screaming and shouting and spitting on TV and that. Maybe if I start, you know, being properly Ruben Amorim out, I might get on Sky Sports, and because it fits their narrative, isn't it? At the end of the day. So I'm gonna keep true to myself. I'm not gonna be that get him out of my club thing. You know, I'm not gonna be get a new manager and sack the fraud. I'm not that kind of person, because at the end I actually have some decency about myself. You know, instead of supporting the football team, I've had people on this on my stream and other streams as well, coming on and just even before the season has started, get him out the club, get him out the club. Just why didn't you just concentrate on supporting your football team and that's it, and let everything else work out for itself? Because that's what I do. What would happen with the manager? What would happen to the manager? And the manager position is overrated anyway. You know, there are much more ins and outs, nooks and crannies that happen at a football club that people don't want to look at, and they don't want to delve into the deep understandings of what football is, or what football clubs are. At the end of the day, they don't want to delve deep into that, do they? They just want to have that narrative there, because the manager is the face, he's the front cover of the football team. You know, Ruben Amorim will be sacked. I don't think they should wait for the Sunderland game. I don't think we're going to beat Liverpool. I don't. If he does stay and he beats Liverpool and he beats Sunderland, he's going to stay. And that, I mean, but I know, as well as you know, as many of us knows, even if it is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came into the football club in COVID season, granted. He came into the football club, right? And he was winning. As soon as he signed that contract, the players down tools. And that is a legend of Man United. I will never forget that, because that is a legend of Man United. He is a Manchester United legend. So don't think they're going to throw Xavi under the bus? You don't think they're going to throw Glasner under the bus? I've said it now. I said the only managers I could look at right now and say the only people who are going to shuffle a few feathers here, it's Antonio Conte. But he plays a free at the back. So what we're going to do here? You know, Antonio Conte is the only one I would say he's the one who would be loud, vocal, and want his own team in there. This is why I think that Ineos won't employ him, you know, precisely because of that. You know, precisely because of that. Nikki. Big up, Nikki. How you doing? Ineos may want to wait until January before deciding Amorim's future and get more. Yeah, first I've said it at the beginning of the show, Nikki. They're waiting for the first. The 12 million gets deducted to 4 million. Yeah, apparently. As we need wingers and a midfielder, we need a lot of things, Nicky T. We do. We need wing backs. We need midfielders. We need a goalkeeper. No, we don't need a goalkeeper. We've got Senny Lamens. We're going to believe in Senny Lamens. And we probably need an extra defender in there, considering that we got Licha Martinez, who can't be relied upon. He's always injured. And Luke Shaw, by the way. These guys should be left the football club a long time ago, apart from Licha. He's been brilliant. Right wing back, left wing back, ones who can actually do the wing back position effectively. We need 2 midfielders in there. Definitely. Probably a backup striker. Definitely a backup goalkeeper as well. They're not going to do that, are they? Ruben, this is how delusional our board is, guys. This board, Ineos have said to this board, to Ruben Amorim, that this team should be qualifying for the Champions League. How delusional must you be? That is a self-defense mechanism that he's doing right now. He's trying to save face there. I know what he's doing. He's trying to save face there because he knows he didn't back Ruben Amorim to the extent that he needed to be backed. We all know this club needed $1 billion spent on it. We all knew it needed about $1 billion, minimum $1 billion, if we truly want to get back. But we're never going to do that. What did we do? We spent 20% of $1 billion. 20% of that, right? Even a 500 million would have been just about, acceptable when you think about Liverpool, who just won the league, has spent over 500 million, and this is what we're talking about. If you could not afford to take the club forward, then why on earth did you get your mittens on the football club in the first place? Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Sanjay. Tyro, you know why, Tyro? Let me tell you why they're not going to do the tent design. It's because it's cheaper not to. Absolutely. I think they're alone with that one opinion, but I don't agree. I agree with that as well, Tyro. I don't like the tent. However, the tent was more expensive, apparently. This is what I'm hearing. It is more expensive. I'm looking at the new design, and what do I look at? A very, very basic stadium. A noodle bowl. That's what it is. It's nothing special. It's nothing special. When you're looking at stadiums around the world, including Qatar, by the way, they score at our new design. Just stay at bloody Old Trafford, for crying out loud, and fix the bloody team. That's what they should be doing right now. All they should be doing right now is fixing the bloody team, not thinking about bloody new stadiums. The thing is what's so ironic about everything that Jim Ratcliffe said. He said, well, we want to walk to the right destination rather than running to the wrong destination. He's running to the wrong destination with the stadium right now. Running to the wrong destination, because that is not what we should be doing right now. Manchester United should be concentrating on being successful on the football pitch. This is a vanity project. That's what that is. Don't get illusioned. Don't get delusioned by what it is. Everyone who wants a new stadium doesn't know what Man United are all about, doesn't know what Old Trafford is. They don't know what Old Trafford is, the history behind Old Trafford. Why do you think Real Madrid haven't moved away from their location? Why do you think Barcelona haven't moved away from the new camp? Why do you think that? Because it's historic. History. Why do you think Inter Milan and AC Milan were fighting the government to keep the San Siro? To keep the San Siro. Now they're keeping the San Siro, and combined they're going to rebuild the San Siro, refurbish the San Siro, because it's iconic. Old Trafford is 100 years of history. 100 years of history. The Busby Babes, Bobby Charlton, George Best, Duncan Edwards. This is Old Trafford, mate. Those great players played on that hallowed turf. Those great players played on that pitch. And we're just so happy because we got a new shiny new toy, a new stadium. Oh, wow. This is what I'm talking about. People all around the world who support this football club don't know the history of this football club. They don't understand where we come from, who we are, our heritage. They don't take the time out to look at it because all they see is trophies. That's all they care about. They don't see what Man United are all about, where we came from for you to support the football team. They don't want to look at that. They don't want to look at why you a Man United fan. Because Man United won the Champions League in 2008. That is what they are. Why are you a Man United fan? Because I had a VHS tape given to me by my best mate about Manchester United and the historical value of Manchester United. So I took it upon myself to study the history of Man United. And we were not successful at that time. We were notoriously a cup team. But when I supported Man United, Alex Ferguson just started his tenure and he was winning nothing. And he was almost sacked as well. You know? Big up Tyborg, my friend. Sam, big up Sam. What's going on, my friend? From the very beginning, I knew Amorim's system would not work. It's nothing to do with his system, Sam. It's nothing to do with system. It's nothing to do with the system, mate. The system won't work. Just like the 4-3-3 didn't work, mate. It won't work. It's the players in the system is the problem. You should be blaming Ineos. You should be blaming the Glazers because it's nothing to do with the system. It's about the players. We have 9 players played in that Europa League final last season. 9. Nothing to do with the system. Leverkusen won the Bundesliga with that system. AC Milan play that system. Glasner plays that system. Antonio Conte plays that system. Nothing to do with the system. Zidane played that system for a period of time. Pep Guardiola transitions into that system during games. It's a very, how do you say it? It's a buzzword. It's the thing that's going around with low IQ. That's what it is. And this channel ain't about that. Big up, Sam. This club is like a washing machine. The door, again, every now and then, some of us splashes out. Yeah. Yorkshire Cowboy, listen, I don't value your opinion about football too much because I think it's very basic. But what I would say is that you haven't once come on here and said the Glazers or Ineos or the players. You just gone manager. And that is where I don't take the opinion seriously, mate. Because you have one-dimensional thinking. It's like dum-dum. You know? And that's what it is. And you've been like that for months, right? You have not stopped going on for months, mate. You're like, you're whining. Why don't you spend that energy supporting your bloody football club, mate? That's what I say to you. Otherwise, you know what? Over there's other football clubs. There's lots of other football clubs, Yorkshire. There's lots. Maybe go and support Leeds. You're from Yorkshire. Maybe them. They're more of your level, mate. The CM2 that 90 minutes versus Brentford made and was shipped goals for Mainu Ugarte. Also, Euro come on half-time. We shipped 2 goals with him. It's not as simple as a personal changes. The CM2 man played 90 minutes versus Brentford. At the end of the day, the reason we shipped a goal against Brentford at the end is because we were pushing forward. That was it. And mainly lost the ball. That goes to show you that, again, it adds weight to the fact that we should have signed a couple of midfielders, isn't it? At the end of the day, all these small pages of all of a sudden know who Amorim's replacing his interim manager is so annoying, and they are the ones who always create the news. Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Maybe you should blame the players, Sam, because they're not bringing results. They're the ones on the pitch at the end of the day. They're the ones who can't beat Grimsby. You don't need tactics to beat Grimsby. Look at those players, mate. Maybe crawl out of your hole and look at those players, mate, because that is what it is. Because we're going to get this with the next manager. And I'm sure, Sam, big up Sam, by the way, but I'm sure you're not going to come back to me and say, Sal, you were right. He's going to get sacked and we're going to see, and I'm just going to be proven right, just like I was proven right with Eric Ten Hag, Kai, hello, everybody. Big up, Kai. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. I have the system gang here today. The system gang, they don't understand football, mate. I'm sorry. They don't. And it's like me being in football, been studying football, got my badges. Talking to them is like, talking to a year 7 and I'm in university about football. That's basically what it is. I'm sorry. And I don't mean to be smug. That's how I feel with it, So what about the system? What about PSG, Yorkshire Cowboy? What about Man City, Yorkshire Cowboy? He beat Man City last year, didn't he? Did he not? Did he beat Arsenal? He beat Arsenal, didn't he, with 10 men? So let's not rewrite history, mate. And let's also talk about what he did at Sporting Lisbon, beating PSG, beating Barcelona, unbeaten in Europe. What's that about then, mate? You don't like him because he's probably better looking than you, and you're a bit bitter about it or something like that. That's what it is. You know what I mean? And carry on. Yorkshire Cowboy, I like you, but you're pushing your luck, mate. It's just one game, and with these players, we know that's inevitable. Hopefully, God save this cup someday. Absolutely. The only thing, Yorkshire Cowboy, you can't adapt your brain, brother. Sorry, adapt your brain, and you're getting blocked, mate. Goodbye, Yorkshire. And thank you for your custom, because you're going on. You're just talking absolute at your smack at your backside, mate. Ruben has, I give him facts, but people don't want to listen to facts. Ruben has done most of the things that, right, actually, he has done some things others didn't dare do, but unfortunately, he's not tactically good enough, plus favoritism will be at the end. I don't know if he's not tactically good enough. He is. He's proven it in the Champions League, Tyborg. Come on, you're better than that. We played Ugarte and Mainu midfield 4 versus Brentford in May, and we were 4-1 down. Exactly. He's not good enough. Maybe that's why we needed a midfielder, mate. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why we needed signings. These Amorim out of glory hunters, they don't know anything about United's culture and history. They don't. Absolutely not. But who else was playing box? Bruno and all those players, weren't they? The same old suspects. Michael, Disco Mac. Big up yourself. Hi, I'm from Hemsby, Yarmouth in Norfolk. Big up, Michael. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Guys, absolutely. Hope you're doing well. But I'd rather play them box than Dallo, Maguire, Shaw, Bruno, who fell for 10 years, brother. Big up, Danny B. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you, mate. Blame Amorim or for Maguire, who moved forward to play a number 9 offside. Then he realised he was caught out. He was outrun. Oh, blame the high line. I know, mate. I mean, people just want to, Euro's one of the best young defenders in Europe, mate. That's why Real Madrid wanted him. The scout of Real Madrid was sacked for not getting Lenny Yoro? Did you know that? No one is overrating us, mate. But this is not about overrating. They're not playing, mate. They did not lose to Brentford at the weekend. We're not playing. We're not talking about that. We're talking about We're talking about the players that have been there for a decade, which you haven't mentioned, right? That how many of them played at the weekend? Shaw, Maguire, Dallo, and Bruno. 4 of them have been there for many, many years, half a decade to a decade. That is the problem there. That's the problem there, right? Omegi, sometimes here I said that the bomb squad seems to not want to get out because they feel betrayed. They feel betrayed. The other colleagues were still in. Please clear out the rest of the players. I agree, mate. Absolutely, wholeheartedly. Guys, who plays well? Sam, who plays well? Please explain it to me. Explain to me. Has Garnacho played well? Anthony and Rashford has been poor just because he scored 2 goals against Newcastle. Come on, man. That's more down to them than anything else. The players are poor. They don't go anywhere and do anything. Look at their level. Look where they go to. Look at their level. Look at them. Let's look at history of players that left the football club. More of them fail. More of them fail. All the players that have left the football club have failed. And that's what we're talking about. Ultimately have failed. You think that going to Barcelona, where you're playing with Lamine Yamal, Pedri, and all these players, is anywhere near playing alongside Bruno and Casemiro, who's about 38. It's a different kettle of fish, And you need to understand the pressures at Man United. You're one of those fans, right, who are from miles and miles and miles away from Old Trafford, and you don't understand it. Sorry, you don't. Yeah, exactly, Box. Not many players who leave do well. That is the buzz hella. These are people who are sheepism. It's the sheepism. It's the sheepism that happens in this football club. They just follow the media because, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. Box, you're absolutely right. Ogmegi, At this point in time, we don't need a new coach. All we need is the interim until the end of the season, clear out the shit squad and get the manager. That is up to Ogbigi. That's up to Ineos, isn't it? At the end of the day, it's whether they want to do that, isn't it? Morning, Arasta. See how you doing, my friend. I hope you're doing well. Good to see you, of course. Box, I actually agree with some fans who want to overhype average rate. I guess it's these modern times social media. Euro is not overrated, mate. Tybo, come on, Tybo. You're having a stinker today, mate. I heard of Zidane rumors. I don't know if that's true. Yeah, exactly, Box. Dorgu, Mazrui, Dalot, etc. are not wing backs. They lack creative delivery attacking. They are fullbacks. Exactly, Box. Now, whose fault is that, Box? Whose fault is that for not buying him a wing back? He wanted Quenda. Do you remember he wanted Quenda? And he didn't get him Quenda. You know, remember that? You know, they are fullbacks, Box. You know? William, sacking the manager is picking low fruit. We need to go to the top of the tree. It's all about the owners. Next, I mean, that's what exactly, William, but people don't... Look, we're not saying don't sack the manager, but people don't understand it at the end of the day, do they, guys? Big up, Grayo. Love, brother. Love. Bit love, brother. Big up, everyone who's joined me today. Thank you so much, guys. The Glazers are a big problem. Thank you, everyone who's joined me. Big up, Ayala. What's going on? Big up yourself. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're blessed. Good to see you, of course. Guys, thank you, everyone who's joining me today. Take it easy, guys, everyone. Don't worry about it. It's just opinion at the end of the day. Tyborg, Irfan, I know it's not the system, it's the players, but how can you not play managerial? And that is where we criticize him. That is where we criticize him. But maybe he knows more than us, Tyborg. Maybe these players are not as good. You just said it there. Maybe they're not as good as we think they are. Maybe. But I rate Lenny Yoro and I rate Aiden Heaven much more than I rate Luke Shaw and I rate Maguire. You know, that's the thing. Arela, it's not the system. Amorim needs to secure that midfield better. And Ineos should have got him CDMs. Absolutely, I agree. But people forget that. Fergie71, ever since Ineos has taken over, we have got worse. Crazy, but we were better under the Glazers. We need to get Glazers and Ineos out. Absolutely, brother. On that note, guys, thank you everyone who's joined me today. Thank you for all your comments. Thank you. I really appreciate everyone in the chat. I really do. Thank you everyone who's joined me today, guys. I absolutely appreciate it. Big up Jaffa. What's going on, my friend? I hope you're doing well. The players need to be interviewed and asked why they are not performing in every match. They want a new manager because it will give them another season of relaxation and say it's the new system to adapt. Remember what it was, Jaffa? Do you remember when it was the system? Do you remember when, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer system is like schoolboy systems? Do you remember Ralph Ragnick? Wasn't it going home in the dark? Every single excuse in the book. And the weak fall for it. The weak fall for it. They get manipulated. Thank you so much, Grayo, my legend. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you, brother. As usual, my friend. Thank you so much. Guys, thank you. Guys, thank you, everyone. Guys, and Yorkshire Cowboy, opinion, but you don't listen. That's the thing. I'm giving you facts, so you don't listen. Sorry, man, but I don't need people who are like just goes like this around your face and you don't listen, you don't take it in, and I feel very, 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 yeah. Thank you guys, everyone. Thank you. And really appreciate it. Yorkshire Cowboy, I know you don't rate him. You don't need to keep talking about it, mate. I know you don't. That's up to you, mate. But he'll go elsewhere and he'll do right, mate, at the end of the day. Enjoy your Yorkshire, where Rotherham, wherever you are. You should support Rotherham, mate. That's you, mate. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Absolutely. Yorkshire Cowboy. Oh, my goodness me. Should have known by the name. Take it easy, guys. Have a great day. Enjoy your evening. I'm Sal Warner. This is Chatterbox. I shall see you tomorrow for Breaking Dawn. Don't forget to join me for that, guys. Listen, guys. What will be, will be. You know what I mean? What will be, will be. If he gets sacked, I'll support the other manager. Unlike Yorkshire Cowboy, because Yorkshire Cowboy is going to slip in my messages and start going... You know what I mean? It's like dinosaur football. When I talk to him, you know, it's like Windows 95 Championship Manager. That's how they see football, 2D. Guys, thank you so much, guys. Have a great day, great night, great evening, wherever you are in the world. Fed up with schooling people today. Had to do it, guys. But all the best. Much love anyway. It's banter. And guys, don't forget, he's not going to be here for much longer, so you can blame the next manager next time and keep your lover boy, Bruno. You know what I mean? That would be great, wouldn't it, for you guys? Take it easy, guys. Peace.